Imagine a corrupt cop framing an innocent man for viral fame, only to discover he's an FBI agent ready to take him down. This jaw-dropping story of justice and betrayal will leave you speechless. Hit that like button, subscribe to Story Hub, and join us as we unravel this shocking tale of corruption exposed. Some badges conceal monsters. Captain Daniel Harris scrolls through his phone in the dim light of his patrol car, watching another viral police video amass millions of views. The algorithm feeds him endless clips of officers making arrests, each one a potential jackpot of likes, shares, and social media stardom. His thumb hovers over the screen as envy burns in his chest. 15 years on the force in Willow Creek, Oregon, and he's still awaiting his big break. The coffee shop parking lot stretches before him, afternoon shadows slicing sharp lines across the asphalt. Harris's gaze locks on a figure stepping out of a sleek BMW, a black man in a costly suit, moving with a quiet confidence that makes Harris's jaw tighten. Perfect target. The kind of arrest that explodes online, the kind that forges careers. Harris activates his body camera with practiced ease, the red recording light flickering on. His social media followers demand content, and Captain Harris always delivers. What would you do if a corrupt cop tried to ruin your life for social media clout? The man, Michael Thompson, according to the driver's license Harris will soon request, checks his watch with the precision of someone bound to schedules. He ends a phone call abruptly, mentioning something about being late for a briefing. But Harris catches only snippets. The expensive watch glints in the light, a detail that will shine in the caption. Harris is already crafting the post in his mind. Michael spots the patrol car instantly, his eyes tracking Harris's approach with an awareness most civilians lack. He doesn't flee, doesn't hide, doesn't even seem particularly worried. Just stands there, hands visible, waiting. It's almost disappointing. Harris steps out of his cruiser, uniform crisp, badge gleaming. 15 years of small-town authority radiate from his stride as he approaches. The body camera captures it all. The luxury car, the sharply dressed suspect, the setup for another viral hit in Harris's growing collection. "Afternoon," Harris calls out, his voice laced with the practiced authority of a man rarely challenged. "Mind if I ask what brings you to Willow Creek?" Michael turns slowly, his movements deliberate and controlled. "Just passing through, officer." His voice shows no trace of nervousness, no hint of the submission Harris expects. It's a calm born of training, though Harris doesn't see it yet. The interaction starts like countless others Harris has staged, but something feels off. Michael doesn't fidget, doesn't avert his gaze, doesn't show the nervous energy Harris typically exploits. Instead, he studies Harris with an intensity that makes the captain's skin prickle. Harris steps closer, encroaching on personal space with practiced intimidation. "You sure about that? Because you look like you might be up to something." The words slip out easily, a script he's honed through numerous encounters. His followers eat up the tough guy act. "I'm certain," Michael responds, his tone steady. He reaches slowly for his wallet, producing his driver's license unprompted. The movement is fluid, professional, as if he's done this countless times. "Michael Thompson, I'm just visiting." Harris takes the license, scrutinizing it under the afternoon sun. Clean record, upscale address. Everything appears legitimate. But legitimacy has never deterred Harris before. He's learned that perception trumps truth, especially when cameras are rolling. "Mind stepping over here?" Harris gestures toward his patrol car, where the dashboard camera will get the best angle. Michael complies without protest, his cooperation somehow more unnerving than resistance would be. The setup is flawless. Luxury car, well-dressed suspect, public location. Harris's internal director is already editing the footage, shaping the narrative that will dominate his social media feeds. Another successful arrest, another viral moment, another step toward the fame that has eluded him for 15 years. But as Harris launches into his performance, Michael does something unexpected. He looks directly into the body camera and says one word: recording. Not a question, not a request, just a statement that carries a weight Harris doesn't yet grasp. The first seeds of Harris's downfall are sown in that moment, though he remains blissfully unaware. Harris's confidence surges as backup units respond to his radio call. 3 patrol cars converge on the coffee shop parking lot, their presence lending legitimacy to what Harris knows is pure theater. The growing crowd of onlookers starts pulling out phones, creating the viral moment Harris craves. "Turn around! Hands behind your back!" Harris orders, his voice booming across the parking lot. Michael complies with the same eerie calm he's maintained throughout, offering no resistance as the handcuffs snap into place. The crowd's reaction is mixed. Some nod approvingly at Harris's decisiveness. Others shift uneasily at the scene unfolding before them. Harris plays to his audience, both present and future, knowing every angle is being recorded. "Found this in his jacket," Harris declares loudly, producing a small plastic bag of white powder from his evidence kit, with sleight of hand perfected through practice. The substance vanishes into Michael's pocket, before reappearing in Harris's gloved fingers, the camera angles meticulously managed. Michael doesn't react to the planted evidence. No protest, no shock, no frantic denial. He simply watches Harris with the detached curiosity of a professional assessing technique. The lack of reaction unsettles Harris more than an outburst would have. "You want to tell me what this is?" Harris holds up the bag for the cameras, both official and civilian. "I think you already know," Michael replies softly, his voice carrying an undercurrent that makes Harris's confidence falter for a moment. The pat-down is aggressive, designed for humiliation rather than safety. Harris's hands linger longer than necessary, his commentary growing more theatrical by the second. The crowd watches in silence as Michael endures the degradation with uncanny composure. "Expensive clothes for someone carrying drugs," Harris remarks, his words crafted for maximum social media impact. Must be dealing to afford threads like these. Michael is forced to sit on the hot asphalt, his suit gathering dust and grime, while Harris continues his performance, scattering personal belongings across the ground. Wallet, keys, phone, each item inspected with exaggerated suspicion. The phone rings persistently, its buzzing cutting through Harris's monologue. He answers it with mock authority, putting it on speaker for the cameras. "Your boy's a little tied up right now," Harris announces to the caller. "Might want to find yourself a new dealer." The voice on the other end is crisp, professional. "May I have the arresting officer's badge number, please?" Harris laughs, playing to his audience. "Badge number? How about this? Tell your friends Captain Harris doesn't play games in Willow Creek." He ends the call with a flourish, tossing the phone back among Michael's scattered belongings. During the transport to the station, Harris studies Michael in the rearview mirror. The prisoner sits quietly, seemingly at ease despite the handcuffs and circumstances. Too at ease. "You seem pretty calm for someone facing serious time," Harris remarks, probing for the reaction he's been denied all afternoon. Michael meets his eyes in the mirror. "How long have you been on the force, Captain Harris?" The question catches Harris off guard. Suspects don't typically make small talk during transport, especially not with such casual familiarity. 15 years, why? Just curious about your experience level. Michael's tone remains conversational, almost friendly. Ever work federal cases? The question sends an inexplicable chill down Harris's spine. Why would you ask that? No particular reason. Michael shifts slightly, settling in. Tell me about your family, Captain. Wife? Kids? Harris's hands tighten on the steering wheel. That's none of your business. Of course not. I was just wondering if they're proud of your work, the community outreach, the social media presence, the methodology. The word hangs in the air like a veiled threat Harris doesn't fully comprehend. How does this supposed drug dealer know about his social media accounts, his community involvement? The questions mount without answers as the station nears. Radio chatter fills the silence, routine calls, status updates, and, buried among the mundane, a mention of federal agents in the area. Harris dismisses it as unrelated, just another bureaucratic intrusion into local law enforcement. At the station, Michael makes his request with the same unsettling calm he's maintained throughout. "I'd like my phone call now." Harris uploads the arrest video to his social media accounts before Michael even reaches the holding cell. The engagement is immediate and overwhelming. Likes, shares, comments flooding in faster than Harris can track. Justice served. Back the Blue trending within minutes. Fellow officers gather around Harris's desk, watching the view count soar. Sergeant Carter slaps him on the back, grinning broadly. "Hell of a collar, Cap." This is going straight to the top of the algorithm. Detective Lopez, however, hangs back from the celebration. Something about the arrest nags at her. The suspect's utter lack of fear, his professional demeanor, the way he seemed to anticipate Harris's every move. But she keeps her concerns to herself, reluctant to dim Harris's triumph. The local news director calls personally within an hour, breathless with excitement. "Captain Harris, this is exactly the kind of community policing story our viewers want to see. Can you be here for the 6 o'clock broadcast?" Harris agrees instantly, already planning his talking points. This is his moment, the validation he's craved for 15 years. The department brass hint at commendations, promotions, speaking engagements. The mayor's office calls to schedule a photo op. Harris's moment has finally arrived. But in the evidence room, something odd happens. The bag of white powder Harris planted on Michael vanishes from its logged position. The clerk on duty swears she saw federal agents with proper authorization, but the paperwork seems too clean, too professional for a routine evidence transfer. Harris's wife, Emily, watches the arrest video during her lunch break at Willow Creek Elementary, surrounded by fellow teachers offering congratulations that feel empty. She knows her husband's methods, has seen him rehearse his arrests in their backyard, perfecting camera angles and dramatic timing. The performance in the video feels too polished, too calculated. "Congratulations on Dan's big arrest," Principal Rivera says, but his tone carries undertones Emily can't decipher. Very professional work. Emily smiles and accepts the praise, but doubt gnaws at her. Something about the black man in the video, his composure, his direct eye contact with the camera, the way he seemed to perform for a different audience entirely. In the privacy of the booking phone booth, Michael makes his call. Harris strains to hear from his desk, catching only fragments. It's time. Yes, he took the bait perfectly. Send the full team. The conversation continues in code. Words Harris doesn't recognize. References to the package, Operation Spotlight, and federal oversight protocols. Michael speaks with the casual authority of someone reporting to superiors, not the desperate pleas of a criminal seeking bail. FBI Field Office Supervisor Rachel Kim receives Michael's call in her Seattle headquarters, surrounded by monitors displaying Harris's social media feeds in real time. Her team has been tracking Harris for 8 months, building a comprehensive case file on his pattern of civil rights violations. "How did he perform?" Kim asks, her voice tinged with the satisfaction of a plan executed flawlessly. "Better than our worst-case scenarios," Michael replies quietly. "Full racial profiling, evidence planting, excessive force, social media broadcasting. He's given us everything we need for federal prosecution." Kim's team springs into action, coordinating with federal prosecutors, preparing search warrants, alerting civil rights organizations. The viral video Harris believes is his triumph will become the centerpiece of his federal indictment. The words mean nothing to Harris, lost in his social media glory. The video has gone beyond viral. It's a phenomenon. News outlets pick up the story. Civil rights organizations voice their predictable complaints, and Harris's follower count skyrockets. By evening, Harris's arrest video has been shared over 2 million times. Cable news programs dissect his techniques. Legal experts praise his decisive action, and right-wing podcasters celebrate his no-nonsense approach to law enforcement. Harris revels in the attention, granting phone interviews and scheduling TV appearances. But beneath the celebration, warning signs pile up. Federal attorneys in Seattle receive copies of the video through official channels. Civil rights organizations file formal complaints with the Department of Justice. Legal scholars analyze Harris's methods on academic forums, identifying multiple constitutional violations. His wife calls, voice taut with concern. "Dan, something feels off about this arrest. The way you're talking about it, the way he looked in the video, it doesn't feel right." Harris brushes off her concerns with the casual arrogance of a man riding high on public approval. "You don't understand police work, honey. This is how we keep the community safe." But even as he speaks, doubts creep in. Michael's lack of reaction to the planted evidence, his odd questions about Harris's career and family, the phone call from someone who knew to ask for badge numbers. In the holding cell, Michael sits with the relaxed posture of a man at ease in institutional settings. Other inmates instinctively give him space, sensing something in his demeanor that commands respect. He doesn't ask about lawyers or bail, doesn't complain about conditions. He just waits. But Michael isn't idle. His trained eyes catalog every detail of the facility: guard rotation schedules, camera blind spots, procedural violations in booking processes. Not for escape, but for evidence. Every observation will feed into his comprehensive report on systemic failures within the Willow Creek Police Department. Other prisoners notice his unusual behavior. Tommy Razor Davis, a repeat offender who knows the system inside out, approaches Michael during evening rec time. "You ain't like the rest of us," Tommy observes, his voice carrying the wisdom of someone who's spent half his life behind bars. "You too calm, too comfortable. Most first-timers are climbing the walls by now." Michael studies Tommy with professional interest. "What makes you think this is my first time?" "Because I know every career criminal in 3 counties, and you ain't one of them. But you ain't scared either." That tells me something else entirely. The conversation is overheard by guards who reported up the chain. Michael Thompson doesn't fit any known criminal profile. His behavior suggests institutional familiarity without criminal ties, a rare combination. Guards notice his odd demeanor. "Most guys are climbing the walls by now," one says to his partner. "This one acts like he's done this before." "Professional criminal," the partner replies. "They learn to do the time instead of letting the time do them." They're wrong, but Harris doesn't know that yet. Unmarked vehicles start appearing around the station, black SUVs with government plates that linger too long and leave too quietly. Harris's superiors begin asking questions about his recent cases. Database access logs show federal queries into the department's records. The federal presence intensifies overnight. Agent Kim's team sets up surveillance around the police station, documenting every aspect of Harris's operation. Their van, disguised as a utility vehicle, monitors radio communications and records officer interactions. Internal FBI communications reveal the scope of their investigation. Harris isn't their only target. He's the centerpiece of a broader operation probing police corruption across rural Oregon. His social media presence made him the ideal subject for a controlled exposure operation. Harris attributes the attention to his newfound fame. "Success brings scrutiny," he tells himself. The feds always get nervous when local cops actually do their job. During a routine cell check, Michael speaks unprompted. Captain Harris lives at 1247 Pine Street. His wife Emily teaches 3rd grade at Willow Creek Elementary. His daughter Sarah is on the high school debate team. His son Michael plays junior varsity basketball. The guard freezes. How do you know that? Public records, Michael replies with a slight smile. Amazing what you can find if you know where to look. The information reaches Harris within minutes, carried by officers whose unease grows hourly. Personal details that should be private, spoken with casual confidence by a man who should know nothing about Harris's life beyond the badge. Harris confronts Michael during evening rounds, standing outside the cell with hands trembling from unacknowledged anger and fear. "What game are you playing?" Harris demands. Michael looks up from the narrow bunk, utterly relaxed despite the circumstances. "No game, Captain. Just passing time until my colleagues arrive. They should be here soon. Federal agents don't usually keep regular hours, but they make exceptions for cases like this." The words hit Harris like a physical blow. Federal agents. Cases like this. The phone call asking for badge numbers, the unmarked vehicles, the database queries. Harris's world begins to tilt as understanding seeps in, but he's not ready to accept what the evidence suggests, not when his viral fame is within reach. The first federal agents arrive at the station just after midnight. Their credentials sow confusion among the night shift. They don't address Harris or explain their presence. They simply request to speak with Michael Thompson in private. Harris watches through the observation window as Michael greets the agents like old colleagues. No lawyer, no Miranda warnings, just a professional debriefing that looks disturbingly like a status report. The viral video that launched Harris's fame starts drawing the wrong kind of attention. Legal experts dissect his methods on cable news. Civil rights organizations demand federal investigation, and Harris's social media triumph turns into a public relations nightmare. Harris doubles down, granting interviews to friendly media outlets, appearing on podcasts that celebrate his tough approach. But with each appearance, the questions grow sharper, the scrutiny more intense. Internal Affairs launches an investigation into Harris's recent arrests, searching for patterns in his methods. Federal oversight specialists arrive, requesting files, interviewing officers, scrutinizing evidence procedures. The planted drugs from Michael's arrest vanish from the evidence locker, signed out by someone with federal authority. Harris's video footage is subpoenaed by grand juries he's never heard of. His 15-year career begins unraveling in real time. Michael displays knowledge no ordinary criminal should have, specific details about federal law enforcement procedures, deep familiarity with police protocols, an understanding of investigation techniques that comes only from training. Inmates report that Michael talks like a cop, not the street-smart bravado of seasoned criminals, but the clinical precision of a law enforcement professional. He knows shift change schedules, understands booking procedures, speaks casually about federal statutes. Harris's paranoia spikes as he realizes every assumption about Michael Thompson might be wrong. The expensive clothes, the luxury car, the unnatural calm, not the trappings of a drug dealer, but the cover identity of someone else entirely. Detective Lopez finally voices her concerns during a late-night talk with Harris in his office. "Cap, I've been thinking about that arrest. Something doesn't add up." Harris looks up from his computer, where he's been obsessively tracking social media metrics. "What do you mean?" The suspect knew things he shouldn't: police procedures, legal terminology, federal statutes, and his reaction to the planted evidence. Lopez pauses, choosing her words carefully. He didn't react like a guilty man. He reacted like someone who expected it. Harris's jaw tightens. "Are you questioning my methods, Detective?" "I'm questioning the situation. This Thompson guy, he's not what he seems. We should run a deeper background check, maybe contact federal databases." "I don't need federal databases to do my job," Harris snaps, his paranoia turning to aggression. "I've been making arrests since before you joined this department. Thompson is just another dealer who got caught." But Lopez's words plant doubts Harris can't shake. He returns to his computer, pulling up Michael's arrest photos, studying them with fresh eyes. The calm expression, the direct gaze, the absence of fear. Details that didn't matter in the rush of viral fame now seem ominous. The investigation into Harris's methods expands beyond the Michael Thompson case. Victim after victim comes forward with stories of planted evidence, fabricated charges, racist treatment, masked as law enforcement. A pattern emerges, spanning Harris's entire career. Federal attorneys in Seattle receive a flood of complaints, each adding weight to the case against Harris. Civil rights organizations provide legal support to his past victims, helping them navigate federal complaint processes. The viral video that made Harris famous becomes a catalyst for accountability he never expected. The Attorney General's office in Washington receives briefings on the Harris case, recognizing its potential as a landmark civil rights prosecution. The combination of video evidence, social media documentation, and systematic victim testimony creates an unprecedented opportunity to send a message about police accountability. Harris's world shrinks as federal investigators interview his colleagues, subpoena his records, and analyze his methods with professional scrutiny. The attention he craved becomes a spotlight, exposing every flaw, every violation, every moment of corrupted judgment. Harris confronts Michael one last time before the truth destroys everything he's built. Standing outside the cell in the harsh fluorescent light of the holding area, Harris makes a desperate bid for control. "I know you're not what you seem," Harris says, his voice barely steady. "Whatever you're hiding, whatever game you're running, I'll figure it out." Michael stands slowly, moving to the bar separating them. Up close, Harris sees something in Michael's eyes that chills him to the core. Not the desperation of a trapped criminal, but the patience of a predator who has already won. "You really should have run my prints through NCIC," Michael says quietly. The National Crime Information Center, the federal database that would have revealed Michael's true identity hours ago if Harris had checked. The system Harris avoided to keep his narrative of drugs, arrest, and viral fame simple. Harris's legs move him to the nearest computer terminal without conscious thought. His fingers tremble as he enters Michael's information into the federal database, knowing the results will change everything. The screen loads slowly, each second stretching into eternity. Harris's career, reputation, and future hang on a search he should have run 12 hours ago. The database delivers a single devastating result. Michael Thompson, Special Agent, Federal Bureau of Investigation, 12 years of service. Current assignment: undercover investigation of police corruption in small-town departments. Harris's legs buckle, sending him crashing into his desk chair as reality hits like a freight train. FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation. The three letters every corrupt cop dreads, now tied to the man Harris humiliated, arrested, and broadcast to millions. His hands shake as he scrolls through Michael's federal personnel record. Commendations for undercover work, specialized training in police corruption investigations, assignments in 7 states. A professional law enforcement officer with more legitimate experience than Harris's entire department combined. Harris's mouth goes dry as he reads the case numbers tied to Michael's past assignments. Police captains, sheriffs, entire departments brought down by Michael's methodical investigations. Corrupt officers serving federal time, their careers destroyed, their reputations ruined. A flawless record of professional destruction. The room spins as Harris grasps the scope of his mistake. Every racist comment, every violation, every moment of fabricated evidence, all recorded by a federal agent whose job is to identify and prosecute exactly this kind of misconduct. Harris's world collapses in a heartbeat. Harris stumbles through the station like a man in shock, his viral triumph morphing into existential terror. Fellow officers notice his sudden pallor, his trembling hands, his inability to form complete sentences. Something is broken inside their captain, though they don't yet understand what. He makes frantic calls to his lawyer, his union representative, his political connections. Each conversation grows more desperate as Harris tries to explain the inexplicable. How he arrested, humiliated, and broadcast the destruction of a federal agent on an official investigation. "Dan, slow down," his attorney says over the phone. "Are you saying the suspect is FBI?" "Special Agent Michael Thompson," Harris whispers, his voice barely audible. 12 years of service, undercover investigation, civil rights violations. The silence on the other end stretches forever before his lawyer speaks again. "Don't say another word to anyone. Don't post anything else on social media. Don't talk to any media. I'm driving down tonight, but it's too late for damage control." The viral video Harris uploaded in triumph has already been archived by federal investigators, analyzed by civil rights attorneys, and distributed to every major news organization in the country. There's no undoing what's been done, no retracting what's been broadcast. The truth strikes Harris like a physical blow, forcing him back from the computer screen as if the words carry an electric charge. FBI, Special Agent, Undercover Investigation. Every assumption, every decision, every moment of the past 12 hours has been orchestrated by a federal agent who played Harris like a master musician playing a broken instrument. Michael Thompson wasn't a random target. He was bait in a trap Harris built himself. The luxury car, the designer clothes, the unnatural calm, all carefully crafted elements of a cover identity designed to trigger Harris's biases and expose his methods to federal scrutiny. Harris stumbles back to Michael's cell, his face pale with the realization of what he's done. Michael stands waiting, no longer the helpless prisoner, but a federal agent who has been gathering evidence with every word, every action, every moment of the encounter. 12 years, Michael says quietly, his voice carrying the authority Harris never recognized. 12 years investigating officers exactly like you, Captain Harris. Officers who see a black man in expensive clothes and assume he's a criminal. Officers who plant evidence for social media fame. Officers who forget the badge means service, not supremacy. The transformation is complete. No more pretense, no more performance. Michael Thompson, FBI Special Agent, steps fully into his authority while Harris shrinks into the reality of what he's become. Every word you spoke was recorded, every violation documented, every racist assumption cataloged for federal prosecutors who specialize in civil rights violations. Michael's tone remains professional, clinical, but the weight of his words crushes Harris's remaining resistance. Harris tries to speak, to protest, to claim entrapment or procedural error, but the words die in his throat. The evidence is overwhelming, recorded on his own body camera, witnessed by his own officers, uploaded to social media by his own hand. "The phone call you answered," Michael continues, "was from my field office. They needed confirmation you were proceeding as predicted. You exceeded even our worst expectations. The federal investigation Harris thought was routine. Oversight reveals itself as a coordinated operation months in the planning. Tips from Harris's past victims, complaints filed by civil rights organizations, patterns identified by federal analysts, all culminating in Michael Thompson's carefully orchestrated visit to Willow Creek. Harris's viral video, the source of his brief fame, becomes Exhibit A in a federal case that will destroy not just his career, but his freedom. The social media triumph turns into a confession broadcast to millions worldwide. Other officers begin distancing themselves from Harris as the scope of the federal investigation becomes clear. Those who participated in his methods face their own criminal exposure. Those who stayed silent confront the reality that silence makes them accessories. The department that celebrated Harris's viral success hours earlier now scrambles to contain the damage. Press releases emphasize Harris's rogue behavior. Internal investigations promise full cooperation with federal authorities, and Harris finds himself utterly alone. Michael's professional methodology becomes clear as FBI agents arrive to process the scene. Every detail of Harris's behavior has been analyzed, predicted, documented. The investigation Michael conducted wasn't random, it was surgical, designed to expose systemic corruption through Harris's spectacular failure. "We've been watching your department for 8 months, Michael explains, as Harris is processed for federal charges. Your social media accounts, your arrest patterns, your methods, you made it easy." The federal agents treat Harris with the cold professionalism reserved for criminals who betray public trust. No courtesy, no professional respect, no recognition of his 15 years in law enforcement. Just another corrupt cop in handcuffs. Harris's lawyer can't help him. The evidence is too overwhelming, the charges too serious, the political pressure too intense. Federal civil rights violations carry mandatory minimum sentences, and Harris's viral confession makes plea negotiations impossible. The role reversal is complete as Harris finds himself in the same holding cell that held Michael hours before. The irony isn't lost on anyone, least of all Harris, who now experiences the institutional dehumanization he inflicted on countless others. Michael walks free, while Harris is processed into the federal system. His badge and weapon surrendered, his career destroyed, his future reduced to the grim mathematics of sentencing guidelines and federal prison terms. Federal agents process Harris's arrest with the same methodical precision Michael displayed during his detention. No planted evidence, no fabricated charges, no procedural violations. Just professional law enforcement holding a corrupt officer accountable. The media circus Harris once courted turns on him with savage intensity. National news coverage, documentary crews, book deals exploring the corrupted psychology of officers who abuse their authority while chasing viral fame. Harris's social media accounts become evidence in his federal trial. Every post dissected for bias. Every video analyzed for patterns of misconduct. The platform that promised fame instead documents his destruction. The community that once celebrated Harris's tough approach now grapples with the revelation that their hero was a federal criminal. Town meetings, police community dialogues, and tough conversations about the difference between law enforcement and law abuse. Michael Thompson disappears back into his undercover world, his mission in Willow Creek complete. The corrupt officer exposed, the evidence gathered, the case built for federal prosecutors. Justice, methodical and inevitable, grinds forward. Harris's family crumbles under the weight of his choices. His wife files for divorce. His children change their names. His parents disown him publicly. The viral fame he craved becomes generational shame that will haunt his family for decades. 1 year later, Harris sits in a federal penitentiary, serving 15 years for civil rights violations, conspiracy, and evidence tampering. His cell block houses other fallen officers, men who forgot the badge represents service, not supremacy. The viral video that destroyed Harris's life has been viewed over 50 million times, becoming a teaching tool in police academies and law schools. Students study his methods as examples of everything wrong with modern law enforcement. Harris spends his days writing letters to his victims, seeking forgiveness that rarely comes. The arrogance that once defined him is replaced by the grinding reality of institutional life, where former cops sit at the bottom of the prison hierarchy. Michael Thompson continues his work in other departments, other communities, other investigations. His success in Willow Creek becomes a template for exposing police corruption through careful preparation and flawless execution. The Willow Creek Police Department operates under federal oversight, its policies rewritten, its culture reformed, its officers retrained. The community that once feared police interaction now trusts local law enforcement, understanding that accountability produces better policing. Harris's case becomes a precedent for federal prosecution of police corruption, empowering civil rights attorneys and federal prosecutors to pursue officers who abuse their authority for personal gain. The justice system adapts, evolves, improves. Have you ever witnessed police abuse of power in your community? The question haunts viewers who watched Harris's downfall, inspiring citizens to document misconduct, support transparency, and demand accountability from those who serve and protect. Change comes slowly to law enforcement, but it comes. Harris's spectacular failure becomes a catalyst for broader reform, proof that corruption thrives in darkness, but dies when exposed to the light of federal scrutiny. The final lesson of Harris's destruction echoes through police departments nationwide. The badge represents a sacred trust with the community, and those who violate that trust face the full weight of federal justice. Where do you stand when justice finally prevails? The question challenges viewers to choose sides in the ongoing struggle between accountability and corruption, between service and supremacy, between justice and the abuse of power. Harris's story ends not with redemption, but with consequences, the inevitable result of choices made in darkness, recorded in light, and judged by a system that demands better from those who swear to protect and serve. When justice wears a badge, corruption has nowhere to hide.